Welcome to Literary Leap. Today we dive into Marge Piercy's powerful poem, A Work of Artifice. This thought provoking piece sheds light on the subtle ways society limits potential, comparing the shaping of a bonsai tree to the conditioning of women. Join me as we unravel the rich symbolism and message of empowerment behind these carefully crafted lines. We first need to understand the title of the poem. The title, A Work of Artifice, reflects the central theme of the poem: the deliberate shaping and controlling of individuals, especially women, by societal norms. Artifice means something that is unnatural or deceptive, created through skillful manipulation. It suggests that the restrictions placed on the bonsai tree and metaphorically on women are not natural but rather artificial and imposed from the outside. Work refers to the effort or craft involved in creating and maintaining this control. Just as the gardener carefully prunes and shapes the bonsai tree, society systematically controls and limits women's potential through social conditioning. Together, the title highlights how the limitations imposed on individuals, particularly women, are not a reflection of their true nature but a result of external manipulation and artificial work created by societal expectations. In a sense, the title suggests that the poem is about how women's lives and identities are shaped and restricted through societal artifice or deception. The bonsai tree in the attractive pot could have grown 80 feet tall on the side of a mountain till split by lightning. In these lines, Marge Piercy describes a bonsai tree planted in a small, attractive pot. The tree, if left to grow freely in nature, could have grown as tall as 80 feet on the side of a mountain, eventually meeting its natural fate, such as being struck by lightning. However, because it is confined to a small pot, its potential is limited. This image symbolizes how people, especially women, are often restricted by societal norms, unable to reach their full potential. The bonsai tree is a metaphor and it represents people, particularly women, whose growth and potential are stunted by external forces, in this case, society. Now, the poet uses imagery in the description of the tree growing tall on a mountain and being struck by lightning. It evokes vivid pictures of nature's wild and free power, contrasting with the tree's confined life in the pot. But a gardener carefully pruned it. It is 9 inches high. Every day, as he whittles back the branches, the gardener croons. In these lines, the poet tells us that the bonsai tree, instead of growing naturally, is being trimmed and shaped by a gardener. The gardener carefully cuts back the tree's branches, keeping it small, just 9 inches tall. Each day, the gardener continues to limit the tree's growth while softly speaking or singing to it. Now, this represents how society, like the gardener, controls and limits the growth of individuals, especially women, by imposing restrictions and expectations. The gardener's soothing words suggest that this control may even appear kind or gentle, masking the harm being done. Now, coming to figures of speech. The gardener is a metaphor symbolizing society or authority figures who limit and shape the lives of others, especially women. We see personification when the tree is treated almost like a person, being whittled back and crooned to, emphasizing its passive role under the gardener's control. Imagery is used when the poet offers us the visual of the tree being pruned to stay just 9 inches tall, combined with the act of the gardener singing to it. They create a vivid picture of restraint disguised as care. It is your nature to be small and cozy, domestic and weak. How lucky, little tree, to have a pot to grow in. In these lines, the gardener speaks to the bonsai tree, telling it that it is meant to be small and cozy, suggesting that being tiny and confined is part of its natural character. Now, the tree is also described as domestic and weak, qualities that the gardener presents as positive. The gardener even tells the tree how fortunate it is to have a pot to grow in, as if the limitation is a blessing. Now, these lines reflect how society imposes certain roles and expectations on women, suggesting that they should be content with limited opportunities and smaller roles in life. The idea that the tree is lucky to be confined is also a form of manipulation, making the bonsai and symbolically women believe that the restrictions are for their own good. The gardener's statement that it is lucky for the tree to be confined is ironic, as the tree is actually being restricted from reaching its full potential. The tree is addressed directly as if it can understand the gardener's words. So here we see personification. The tree being addressed symbolizes how people are often told to accept their limited roles. Coming to metaphor, the bonsai tree continues to represent individuals, especially women, who are told they are meant to be small and submissive, while the pot represents the societal constraints placed on them. With living creatures, one must begin very early to dwarf their growth. The bound feet, the crippled brain, the hair in curlers, the hands you love to touch. In these lines, Marge Piercy expands on the theme of limiting growth by comparing the bonsai tree to human beings. The speaker explains that if you want to control or dwarf the growth of living creatures, you have to start when they are very young. The examples provided, bound feet, crippled brains, hair in curlers, are all symbols of how society physically and mentally restricts women, shaping them to fit traditional roles. Even something as simple as the hands you love to touch suggests that society views women's physical appearance as something to be admired and controlled rather than letting them develop freely. Bound feet. This refers to the ancient Chinese practice of foot binding, where young girls' feet were tightly bound to keep them small. It was seen as a mark of beauty and femininity, but severely restricted their mobility and caused lifelong pain. Crippled brain. This symbolizes how society often discourages women from pursuing education or developing intellectual skills, keeping them intellectually dependent and confined to traditional roles. Hair in curlers. This is an example of how women are expected to only focus on their appearance, spending time on beauty routines like curling their hair, reinforcing the idea that their value lies in looking feminine and beautiful rather than in their abilities. The hands you love to touch. This suggests how women are often reduced to objects of physical affection, valued more for their touch or physical beauty than for their minds or capabilities. The lines highlight how societal restrictions on women begin early in life, limiting not just their physical freedom but also their intellectual and emotional growth. Now let's take a look at the figures of speech used. We start with metaphor. The bound feet, crippled brain, and hair in curlers symbolize the ways society imposes limitations on women's bodies and minds. Vivid images of bound feet and hair in curlers evoke traditional methods of restricting women both physically and culturally. The hands you love to touch uses a part, that is hands, to represent the whole person. Now this is a synecdoche, implying that women are often valued only for their physical appearance, not their full potential. And so, Piercy's A Work of Artifice serves as a powerful reminder that the world can often prune and shape us into what it expects. But like the bonsai tree in a poem, we each have the potential to grow tall and wild if only we resist those limiting forces. Let's not let society's scissors define our height. Instead, let's break the pot, stretch our roots, and bloom into the fullness of who we are. If you found this video insightful, please like, share, and subscribe for more literary explorations. On my channel, you'll also find MCQs and detailed questions and answers to help you prepare thoroughly for your exams. Until next time, keep exploring and stay curious.